All right, Steve, I'm back. I recaptured the line of thought. It was an entire line of thought. That's the difficulty when you're going off on a tangent. Is if the slope is too sharp, you lose things roll off it like your focus. Anyway, while I was watching your video, um, I started to think about goods held in common, the commons, commonwealth. I was thinking about natural resources. If a community holds a natural resource in common, say a surrounding forest, external resource surrounding forest, um, and everybody has equal access and equal right to those goods. Um, that's relatively easy, People can come forth, go to the edge of the forest, and say, "Okay, I want my, 3 cords of wood as I'm entitled to, as a citizen of the community," and that's distributed. Um, Now, jobs and access to jobs um, are different. They're obviously they're a public good. They're a public benefit of society, uh, and however, they're held in private hands for the most part. So we then get a tension between one basic social theory of justice, which is utilitarian and says everybody has an equal right to the goods of society, and another social principle or another principle of justice, which is private property and the right to private property. And so we have a tension between two different principles of justice. In fact, some of the affirmative action case law is fascinating to read the dissenting opinions because you see the tensions as the justices are trying to balance and integrate or coordinate the different underlying principles of justice. You see the tensions between them. It's fascinating. So now, then it occurred to me that, well, what about government jobs? Government jobs are not held in private hands, not under private ownership. So in a sense, it's public property. Um, they're slightly different in nature, and it never occurred to me really that this type of difference in nature between, say, government jobs, public jobs, and private jobs. So that was very, very interesting. Along the utilitarian lines, I was thinking about public policy. We have a lot of public policies that protect oh, resources that are essentially free but uncontrollable, like the air, the water, things of this nature, which no one can really own or truly grasp. Water's a little more easy to control and to slip into private hands, but things like air is difficult to control, and to keep in private hands. Um, we have a lot of laws to protect those things for the public good as a matter of public policy. We have a lot of health and safety laws that are good as a matter of public welfare, public good. Um, and we even have laws in the evidence code that most states have a law in their evidence code that prevents the government from forcing a spouse to testify against a spouse. Now, it's a good of society to be able to prosecute, as many wrongdoers as possible. However, it was decided that a higher good would be to maintain the unity and the stability of marriage, that was a better good for society. So here's another place where you not only have tensions between two competing principles of justice, but you have a sort of you're weighing them on a vertical scale, like Aristotle would do. Is it a better good to preserve marriage or to prosecute criminals? So the decision is usually to opt for maintaining stable marriages. That's better for the fabric of society than actually prosecuting, having a greater number of successful prosecutions. That's kind of interesting. I'm going to skip back up to state freedoms. Um, we talked briefly about how it'd be interesting if one of the states declared themselves to have a socialist government, and so long as it was a representative form of government, that would be tolerated. It's not anti-constitutional. But I think discrimination would be different. I don't think, well, just true discrimination along these arbitrary lines, skin color, race, gender, etc. Um, I, I think then the state's laws would be violating the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution, the Equal Rights Clause. So if a state starts to enact unconstitutional laws, that would I think need to be changed. Um, the Constitution doesn't allow states to declare war on each other. Fortunately, I can just imagine what would happen. Can you imagine? So really, the only executive authority that kind of could step in really is the federal government to kind of police these sorts of things. There's really no one else to do it, and you don't want California declaring war on Nevada, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so that was another thought that occurred to me. Um, that's the theory. That's the. I'll sum that up. That's the end of that line of thought, huh? More to follow. And I agree with your point about the advance. Well, how should I? I'm going to paraphrase this. Huh? Sort of the advance of law and the advance of society, depending on the moral state of that society. I agree completely, and I share your concerns about the current state of American society. And well, we're losing a lot of freedoms, and they're being eroded away, and for to a large degree, we're passively letting that occur. Um, so that's as a topic for another video, huh? But I do think that the anti-discrimination laws and the affirmative action laws, basically the Civil Rights Act of 1965 and all the laws that constellate around that, um, do represent an advance in the moral conscience of the country. Um, yeah, they are an advance in our moral conscience. Uh, Now, they're not perfect. Implementing those is not perfect. And there's a lot of struggles over implementing those and implementing those justly, so that what we really are doing is opening up opportunities, and opportunities based so that people can really compete based on merit. Um, and merit really should be the core concept. And actually, the Civil Rights Act supports merit and basically says, tear down all the artificial barriers to judging people on an equal footing based on merit. So that's good. That's preserved. That's safe. Unfortunately, some of the attempts that were made to try to implement affirmative action plans, I think, accidentally stepped on the toes of the 14th Amendment and created a sort of a reverse discrimination. That was, the Bakke case sort of brought that out, and so. For instance, it basically cut down quotas, because quotas, as soon as you start getting to the point where you say, okay, on the individual level, we are now going to reject this individual because of their color. You've committed an injustice, regardless of the person's, which side of the skin tone you're picking. So quotas are unconstitutional, and as I think they should be, because they do violate the 14th Amendment. And the 14th Amendment was the whole purpose for creating equal protection, huh? Anyway, that's a story. I know I probably missed a few points. What points did I miss? I know I missed a couple points. Maybe we can cover them another time, or you can bring them up again if you want me to go into them. I want to raise them again. Feel free. If you have time, a response video would be good. If not, that's cool too. Good talking to you, and hasta luego. What's the French? A bientôt, huh? Take care.